Good evening, class. How are you all doing today? I want to welcome you all to our class the week before Thanksgiving. I want to first thank you all for being patient and understanding as I sent the message several hours ago requesting us stating that we will start class at 5 instead of 4. The reason why is because I was in a meeting with my client Hope Global. We're building a development project in downtown, and we had our several meetings with city council people today. And so we had an impromptu meeting with the chair of the Economic Development Committee at 3:30, and it was a face-to-face meeting, something that I'm not used to doing. So I had to run out, and then it would cause me to arrive late for this class. So I thank you all for allowing me to do that. I promise you we will be done with class today before 6 o'clock. It'll probably be between the 5:30 and 6 o'clock hour or 30 minutes, because I just want to go over a few things about competition and some remarks on your midterm papers. All right. Can everyone see the screen? Can
Yes,
everyone?
sir.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Sweet. So for housekeeping, first I want to talk about Canvas assignments. I know that it's a lot going on. I know that you have multiple assignments due every week. I continue to ask you to just have time management and complete those assignments. These assignments are to help you build the case of being an entrepreneur. My method of teaching is more experiential, so it requires interviews, reflections, type things like that. That I guide you through these weeks, either through guest lecturers or myself. And I think you all are doing a great job so far. I know this is an 8-week course, and everyone has a lot on their plate in this COVID season. So I just want to encourage you all to keep up the great work. Turn in your assignments when you can. As stated earlier, I am not counting late work, but please turn in your assignments, because starting finals week, I will start filling in zeros that have blank assignments. The reason why is because if you leave a score blank in Canvas, it doesn't add to your final score. But if you add a 0, it gives you a more accurate final score that you have. And so I want to make sure on the very last week, I believe that's December 5th or 6th, December 6th, I will start filling in zeros where there are blanks, so that people can have an accurate account of what their grades are. All right. Ignore the office hours note, because office hours are not in my office, but we can do them virtually. So if you want to meet with me, send me a message via Canvas. And I've finally caught up quasi starting last week. So I should be a little bit more responsive. I have about 6 messages in Canvas I need to respond to. But I will be doing that after class today. Extra credit opportunities. If you all, I will be sending some messages via on Canvas announcements of some virtual programs that's happening through UNT Dallas. Please, if you want to have extra credit, please feel free to participate in those and send me proof and a synopsis of the program through Canvas, so that you can receive extra points. Any questions? All right.
Yes, I do have a question,
Yes, sir.
Professor. Is the final due on the 4th or the 16th?
The
Because
finals, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm seeing 2 different dates.
So the final will be your paper. I believe I have on Canvas is due on the 4th, correct? I know that your CRED assignment is due. Then let me look on Canvas now. I'm here.
Well, the grade book says the 16th.
Yeah. Your presentation. So where are you getting the 4th from?
the syllabus, but I know it just said 2019 on
Oh
it.
yeah,
So
no, not the syllabus. Go with it. Canvas. Your presentation is actually going to be that Thursday, the day of your final exam, is when you're going to um, turn in your paper and do your presentation. And that's actually a great segue. I was going to talk about this after Thanksgiving, but we can talk about it now. Um, After Thanksgiving, I am going to assign each of your group presentations a 20-minute slot during our final exam, during our final exam day, assigned day. I believe it'll be on Thursday evening, or Thursday afternoon at 4 or 4:30. And at that time, you and your group will log into Zoom and present your business, and business to me. You would have already submitted your presentation or your paper. You don't need to submit a presentation because I'll just grade on what you all are presenting to me via Zoom. The entire class will not look at your paper. It'll just be me, myself, and your group at that 20-minute slot. Now you will have 10 to 15 minutes to do your presentation, and then I will have 5 minutes to ask questions or so to the group. Does that answer your question, Mr. Rhodes?
yes, so you said the six, right?
Well, it'll actually be let's go to December. It's going to be the 10th, technically.
Okay,
That's when
perfect.
you're assigned day for final exams.
Okay, so it should be submitted in Canvas by the end.
It'll be submitted by the 10th. So even though
Okay,
I will change that on in Canvas tonight. Adjust that to December 10th.
thank you, sir.
All right, no problem. Any other questions? If not, feel free to send me a message, or you can hang out after class tonight, and then I can address it here on Zoom. There are a couple things I have not. You have not seen your midterm grades yet. I'll be posting them tonight, but I wanted to give you all some feedback on the papers that I've seen. Before I even get started on this slide, I do want to state that a couple of groups have had issues with communicating with their team members, and so what I'm doing is that based on what the papers, based on the names that are associated with your final, those are the people in the group that will get the grade. If their name was not on, if their name is on the paper, I assume they contributed to the midterm, and they will get full credit. Everyone will receive the same grade. If their name was not on the paper, they will receive a 0, and their grade will not affect the rest of the group's individual grade. All right, good deal. So with that being said, this is what I saw in the midterms. I saw a lot of great ideas, a lot of good business ideas, and a lot of people have done a good job, particularly with the narrative portion of the paper and the descriptions of their companies and their initiatives. Some of them weren't just traditional businesses, but some were nonprofits, and there are also some social entrepreneurial ventures as well, which I am going to, I'm starting a new class that is going to be called Social Entrepreneurship. It'll be another class that will probably be offered either next summer or next fall. Plug. Um, there's a lot of growth from the first class we had a couple of weeks ago when we did the small group activity about what exactly a business is. I saw a lot of you all use those concepts into your paper. Thought that was really good. And some of these business ideas have the ability to make some money, attempts to create money. The dollars here was actually, there were some good strategies. Some things that I did not like on the papers, there are a couple of incomplete either sections or papers. I've seen some functional error issues, copy paste. So let's say you all had 3 or 4 people writing from different computers, and you all kind of blotched your papers together. I did see some inconsistencies with some papers, not necessarily in this class, but probably in a couple of other classes too. And the most important thing that was really bothersome for me were the grammatical errors. I saw some grammatical errors. Grammatical errors um, uh, was I marked off points for grammatical errors. So that was it's definitely a detriment to maximizing your grade. But in all, there were no paper that was atrocious. So I'm pretty sure you will be fairly pleased with the grades that you receive. No one received anything lower. I saw mostly A's and B's. So you should be in good shape. All right. I appreciate seeing a couple of happy dances over here. It's great to see them from this purview. All right. Today, we're going to talk about competition. No, I'm not talking about competition with somebody trying to go against someone for a spouse position, trying to get their man or woman, or competition in terms of a game where there's a winner and a loser. But I want us to talk about a competition in terms of entrepreneurship and what exactly that means. And before we get started, can I hear what people? Oh, but hold on. Before we get started, I do want to answer the chat box. Are we staying with your same groups? Yes, you all are staying with the same groups. So I just want to make sure you all knew that. All right. Thank you for asking that question. And I am going to pull the chat boxes a little closer so I can read them. All right. Um, Before we get started on what I would define what competition is, does anyone have an idea of what competition is? And could you please turn on your video so that we can have an interactive experience if you can? Anyone can go. I'll wait.
Um,
Okay.
I would say, oh,
You go ahead, Theophilus, and then we'll go to Tamil.
I would just say competition is just pretty much the process of different companies competing in the same industry.
Mm-hmm. Good. You're absolutely right. Tamil, what were you going to say?
On the same lines, in the same competing in the same selling group. So yeah, same thing.
Great. So competition in terms of being in an entrepreneurship space is a business or a company who is selling a very similar product in your same market. So competition would be if I sell hammers in Dallas and I started my own business, but there is a Home Depot in the same city that has the same customers. That's my competition. Now that satisfies the two things. One, we're selling similar products. I sell hammers, they sell hammers and everything else. And secondly, it's in the same market. We're in Dallas. I'm not doing an online business. I'm doing a physically located in Dallas. So therefore, there's a Home Depot in Dallas. Therefore, we're competitors. Now, what competition isn't, if they don't have both of those factors, then they may not be competitors. So let's go back to that example. I created a home improvement store and I sell hammers in Dallas. My market is primarily Dallas or Dallas County, so I don't really sell to anyone outside of Dallas County. Well, there is another home goods store that started in Oklahoma City. They sell hammers just like I do, but their market is in Oklahoma City. In that particular example, one of the two prerequisites or one of the two requirements are satisfied, which means we're not in competition with each other. Though we sell the same thing, we have different market base. Now, if I made my business virtual, if I was an online business, and that home improvement store in Oklahoma City was an online business, and now our new market share are virtual customers, then we become competitors. But competition, you have to sell similar products in the same market. Are there any questions? No? Okay, good deal. Let me move on. Now, in competition, there is direct competition and there's indirect competition. Has anyone heard the difference between direct competition and indirect competition? Either state on the chat or you can unmute yourselves. Sorry, I'll wait. Oh, I have all day.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Is that
Yeah, I think we
Kavion?
talked about it. Yes, sir. That's me. I'm sorry, I'm driving right now, but I think we talked about it before in class.
Exactly.
So an example would be, I guess McDonald's and Burger King would be direct, and let's say Chili's would be an indirect competitor to those industries.
Perfect. We did talk about it. Direct competition is two businesses that have the same type of product in the similar location with the same price point. So a great example would be Chick-fil-A and Burger King as direct competitors, right? Another example of direct competition would be Allstate Insurance and State Farm, right? Those are direct competitors, or Geico and USAA. Those are direct competitors. Apple and Windows are direct competitors. Some of y'all are saying, no, they're not direct competitors. But those are type of examples of people that are selling very similar products for the same price point. There are more similarities than differences, right? Can someone give me another example outside of those that are direct competitors? Does anyone have an example?
Would Dillard's and Nordstrom be direct competitors?
That's a good price. That's a really good question. That could be up for debate. They are both large department stores that sells retail that have similar price points. Nordstrom's have a bit of a higher price point. So the argument could be they're indirect competitors, but in all honesty, they're more direct competitors than indirect competitors. An example of an indirect competitor would be Dillard's and a small boutique or a custom clothier, right? Something that you're buying a similar product. We all need clothes. You're buying or they're selling clothes, but they're selling them at a different price point and have a different type of service. So with the boutique or the custom clothier, they are checking your dimensions from head to toe, whereas in Dillard's or even Nordstrom's, you're buying off the rack. Even though Nordstrom's has a bit of some more customer service because you're paying a premium of those prices. And they have amazing shoes, by the way. That's what they're known for. But that's a great question, Angie. Great, thank you for contributing to that. So in your midterms, I did see you all state competitors. I do want you all to go a little bit more in depth. I mean, you can see this if you read the section of competition. I think there's a competitive analysis portion in your textbook. For your final exam, I just want you all to go in more detail. You all wrote a page or so about competition in your midterm. I want you all to go real deep in your final, and you're going to be using this competitive analysis. This competitive analysis is a guide. I think some of y'all actually used it for your midterm. I don't want to see this chart on your final, but I want you all to populate. I'm looking at my other computer screen, but I want you all to populate this chart in your prep for your final exam, and then use the data that you collected from your businesses, your strengths and your weaknesses, and then comparing them to at least two of your competitors and write them in paragraph form for your final exam.
Quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
In regards to the final, I think that I had a little bit confusion on what you were looking for as an outline. Could you, because I use that as an outline.
Right.
Could you, for instance, like give us more of a verbatim outline so we can be able to give you what you, or are we supposed to?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I'm not inside the first part of in the first class. I purposely said I'm not super picky. I really just want you all to have 4 sections, and I want the only thing that specifically I want from the competition side is I don't want to see this graph and you fill in numbers, but or you fill in the graph. But if you translate that into paragraph form, any portion, any style of writing that is acceptable. I don't have a, you need to write MLA style. You need to have 4 paragraphs each section. That's restricting creativity. And quite honestly, that's anti-entrepreneurial, but there's still structure. I still want to create a framework so that you all can create.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and I'm not counting grades off if you are very creative with how you are contextualizing your paragraphs. All right, good deal. So why do you think this chart is important? Because someone give me their opinions as to why I would ask you all to describe your products, your price point. If the quality, is it going to be a low end? We don't call it low end. They call it economical, which means you can create a mass of products for a small price, or do you want to have a high quality end for an expensive price? That's what that quality section is. Selection, service, all of those things. Why are these things important to write down?
Well, I think that when you are and you forming a product is very, very important to identify these key points. So a lot of times I'm learning that when I'm introducing something or introducing a product to someone, they have a lot of questions, and it's really good to be proactive and to be confident in those answers before giving like a pitch or giving an introduction to what you're selling. So I think this is a good starting point to identify what your needs are before you introduce or you talk to other people.
Exactly. You're exactly right. Business plans, the intentions of business plans is so that you can put everything down on paper so that everyone is on the same page in terms of your business. If you're an entrepreneur, or if you're working by yourself, some people actually give you advice as to say, I don't follow anything that's in my business plan. I don't need it. So I just go and do my own thing. Like that's an understandable concept, especially if you are a single member entrepreneur or you are not relying, or other people aren't relying to know exactly what entails in the business. But if you are working with a group of people, or if you have everything in your mind and in your heart, but you're trying to convey what's in your mind and heart to other people, it's best done through a business plan, because your business plan is going to force you to think about every facet of your business. Under competition, it's very important to know your strengths, your weaknesses, and who you want to target, because identifying a specific market will determine investors that will fund you. It will determine the type of your location. It'll determine what your price points would be, right? Because you're making a pitch, and if your target market are college students, people who you will want to invest in your company are other business owners or people with money who likes to create products for college students because they understand that model and they have similar businesses that could complement your product with theirs, so they can say, oh, this looks like this hammer could work with this plywood that I sell to college students. No one is selling hammers and plywood to college students. But for the sake of this example, that's where you find synergy and where you find an effective way to either gain support for your businesses and to gain financial support, because you spend a lot of time knowing exactly what your product is compared to the products that could be your competitors. And this chart helps you and your team slow down and see those things so that you can all focus the right amount of time to get the best bang for your buck. Why do you think that's important? Why is it important to know exactly your target market or exactly what you want to do as a business?
Um, okay. I think that is important so you don't lose money. True story. I am in the process of like identifying what I want to sell. And I think that I spent a lot of time on like spending my own money without knowing like what my profit would be. So I have like a cycle that I give money and it comes back. So I think that's a very, very important aspect of like not losing and being able to tell what you're gaining back to continue.
Exactly. No, that's good. Right. You're absolutely right. So you being able to do that allows you to know what your business is, right? Um, and it allows you to kind of know where you need to get your money. If you are just aimlessly, if you're aimlessly working and you have no direction, what will happen is you'll waste time. When you're wasting time, you're not going to make money. And as much as people complain about bosses or complain about structure, when there's too much of it, when there's not enough structure, then businesses tend to fail because they're you do not attract any customer because the market have no idea what you are providing them. So some people hear the saying, mass what's the saying? I forgot. I just had a brain fart. But it's really important for you to specify what exactly you want your business to do. Even if it's a large business, that doesn't mean you only have to sell one thing. You could sell 4 or 5 products, but you need to make sure those 4 or 5 products have some connectivity or have something that you can make feasible business sense. Another example of that would be a beautician or a barber. So let's say you have a skill set and you have a vision to create your own barbershop, barber college, beauty shop. Well, you don't have to. You first have to have a talent and the passion to do hair or to do cosmetology, right? Cosmetology with the T, not a P. But if you're able to do that and then you get certified, then you're able to rent a seat at another person's business so you can gain customers. As you're gaining customers, you feel that you can go on your own and start your own business. Now you are going into a realm of not only being talented, but you also, if you want to start a business for yourself, you want to ensure that you get money coming in multiple ways. People say people like to have multiple streams of income. So instead of you just having one chair by yourself, you buy a space so that you can have 4 or 5 other chairs so that you can gain rent from other barbers or beauticians. That's a stream of income. you're still doing your hair and your clientele, that's a stream of income. Then there's another couple things that you can do to increase the types of attraction to your shop. You can sell products. You can sell hair products. You can sell barber kits. You can sell all these types of things that's not directly your business, but it's associated with it, to where the market can say, oh, if I need anything cosmetic, I need to go to this particular shop, because I not only I can get my hair done, but I can also get products when I go take it home. I can possibly get my nails done, get a manicure, pedicure. All those things could be under one business, but you have to state it, and you have to see if there's anyone else doing that thing, because everyone has a competitor. So if you tell people you don't have anyone that's doing what you do, you tell investors that, they'll believe that you're lying, or they'll believe that you haven't done any of the homework, right? So it's really important. I said all that to say it's really important to break down this chart, this graph that's on this PowerPoint, because it'll help you with the direction of where you want your business to go, or your mock business, right? Angie, thanks for your comment. You're right. You pretty much in 4 lines you articulated what I said in 10 minutes. So I appreciate your candor in that. I recognize that. I do like to talk. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, I do have one question. As it
Yes.
relates to the final presentation, are we required to have a PowerPoint presentation?
You are required to have some form of visual presentation. It doesn't have to be in format of PowerPoint. It can be in Prezi, but it needs to be something that you can share and that can be seen on Zoom.
Okay. Is there like a rubric for what you want in some type of visual?
Nope.
No.
No.
Okay.
The thing that I really care about mostly is participation of everyone in the group, because I'm going to grade on how I'm going to grade individually on your contributions to the presentation.
Okay.
And
so we basically
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, and for the presentations, it's not just aesthetics, but functionality. So if your presentation aligns with your business and tells its story, you get high marks. If you have a lot of unassociated pictures or graphics that you're just using that because you think that's space fillers and it's not complementing your presentation, you'll get lower marks.
Okay.
It's very simple. This is an 8-week course. That's the part of the reason why I don't want to give you strict guidelines.
Gotcha.
Any other questions?
Professor, I have one. Like, let's say some of our group members didn't help it with our midterm. Do we have to try to reach out again to help for them to get them involved with our final?
Yes. I want you as a group to actively, and actively does not mean threaten, because I've seen some group emails sent saying, hey, if y'all don't do this by this day, you're cut off. One, no student has the power to cut anyone out of their groups. That's left up to me. And my strategy would be, we're going to have a conversation, or we're going to try to reach out to see if they interact. And if they do, great. If they don't, then you all have done your good faith effort to get them back, and it's documented. So if you've done things, it's been documented, and they're still not responding, then they're not going to be included in the final presentation. But let's just say, because people will start seeing zeros on their paper from their midterms, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, because this happened every semester. This isn't new. I'm true to this. So people are going to see zeros in their midterms and say, oh, snap, I didn't know I had a group. Da 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 da. Well, I'm going to kindly say, well, you need to go back to your space. You have a 0 for your midterm. You need to actively try to get reconnected and actively participate if you want to have a grade for your final. And if they don't do that, then they have a 0 for their final as well. With that being said, that's instructions for students who are inside the group. I understand people are worried about their grades, but you all do not have the power to kick people out of your group. If y'all have issues or frustration, continue to message me. Even if I haven't responded, I've seen all of the messages of groups who say they have issues of non-responsiveness with team members. So I've seen all of those messages, even if I haven't responded to you. All right?
Yes, thank you.
No problem, Mark. Thank you. Any other questions?
Do you upload this recording? Because people in my group, they don't come to class. So I'm having to explain all of the expectations and what we're having to do in the paper and stuff. And it's just it's kind of frustrating, honestly.
So I send a hyperlink for class for the class on the announcement section of Canvas. So if you look last week, I want to say there's a hyperlink there. I missed the week before then because my computer crashed, and I have 1 week that I don't have access to, but I do have, if you look under the file section in Canvas, at least the first section is there. In fact, I'll send what I'll do is I'll make an announcement with YouTube links to all classes that I have available now so that you all can refer that to them.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem. Any other questions?
I do have one last question. Will
Yes.
you give us feedback based on our submission of the midterm? Because I know that there's a requirement for the actual midterm and the final. And I just want to make sure that we work together collectively as a group to make sure that whatever we didn't include in our midterm, we include in our final.
So what I'll do is you'll see when you see your grades, if you go back to Canvas, I'll try to make comments on your paper there on Canvas. And I typically don't write extensive notes, but I have notes here. I'll add those notes to the notes of your assignment too. So I typically don't do it because I normally have 120 midterms come in at one time. But since this is an 8-week course, you all were a couple of weeks after the midterm, so I can actually type those comments in. All right. And if you don't see comments, that typically means you all are in a good direction. Any other questions? These are great questions, by the way. I appreciate you asking them. All right. Well, it's 5:45, 5:43. I want to give you the time that I committed to you all. I hope you all have a good evening, and please continue to finish your assignments and turn them in as soon as you can. Thank you all, and have a great day.
You do the same.
All right.